that he struck the leg of the child. Well, they charged him with felony criminal endangerment. It wasn't even a mark. You know, you just got but in the mix, both parents used meth, and the child tested positive for meth. So now you got a prosecutor saying, "Look, we're going to charge him with felony criminal endangerment for that." I had a good motion to dismiss pending to get rid of the original criminal endangerment. The prosecutor offered, "Look, plead guilty to the first offense, PFMA, for slapping her, you know, but he asserts she choked him, so he wants to say self-defense, and he's all bound up on the misdemeanor and what's, quote, right and fair." And they said they won't charge either felony. Well, the fucking idiot stood by there. "It ain't right and fair. She choked me, blah, 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 blah." Well, you fucking hit her while you're arguing over gambling away the only money the family has, you fuck. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so now, he just got arraigned yesterday in Conrad, felony criminal endangerment for exposing his child to meth. He ain't fucking getting out of that, Jason.
Nope.
There's two parents in that household, both tested positive for meth, and that child tested positive for meth. He's fucking going somewhere.
Yeah.
Period. Because he's too much of an asshole to admit that, you know what, when you're fighting with your wife over gambling and she maybe hits you a little bit, you don't get a fucking slapper.
Right.
Fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fuck off. Be a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, seriously. Well, he could have ended it, whether it's right, wrong, or fair, with a relatively little consequence. He chose to stay in for a penny, in for a pound, and now it's worse.
Right.
You know, they just say those things is that you know, I think you want to think about, do you want to keep down this path, or do you want to get off the path?
Yeah.
And you know, is this an opportunity to have a bit of a reset, to go, you know what, some of these things, however they went, however they were, are they doing me any good?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that, you know, I don't doubt for a minute that your kids mean a lot to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the way things have gone and the way they're going isn't resolving that in a healthy fashion for you.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if there can be some kind of reset, and I'm not saying the solution to that is in this piece, because it isn't. This is a little piece. This isn't the big piece of your life. This is the little piece.
Right.
But it's one step of removing impediments and then trying to figure out, how do I have that reset and get what I want? Because what I think you want, and I don't know you, but what I think you want is to work, make reasonable money, and have time with your kids. That's what I think you want in big words. And if you want that, what I can tell you from just experience of life and this profession is that fighting won't get you that.
Mm-mm.
Just won't, when things have gone poorly.
Right.
And so if you want that, then you got to kind of think, how can I get it? Because it's not about what other people did or do or anything. It's about, can you live your life the way you want to live it? Mm-hmm. And what's in your way. Just, I spend a lot of time in the woods, and I think that's good when we look at it. You know, I'm never mad at the land or the animals for what that is. It just is what it is. I need to survive, and I need to have good things and a nice experience. Mm-hmm. And that's just about, I have to take all of that as it comes. Right. Well, that's kind of what life is too, is you know, taking all of this as it comes. And so not so much thinking about what's right and wrong or fair, just fucking is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my old house, and I don't have it anymore, I sold it this year, I'm kind of sad about that, but I used to have rattlesnakes and tons of them, and you know, so I was always having, you know, walking down the path or this or that and having to take care of that. But I told my wife I kind of missed the snakes. She hated it, but I didn't mind. It was just, here's this little thing trying to kill me, and I cope with it, you know. But that's part of it. I was never angry at the snake.
Right.
It just was.
Yep.
That was that thing, you know. And you know, one night I was taking the trash out. My driveway was about 1/10 of a mile uphill, and it was just about this time of year. It was a fucking 100 out, you know, 8 o'clock at night. And so I stopped for just a second under where one of my big trees shaded the driveway and put the can down. and it was on the edge of the path, or the pavement. And as I put the can down, I saw a little flash, and I instinctively stepped away. Well, it was a snake that had been laying. I put the can down almost on top of it, and it struck, and it hit me. But because I turned quickly, it glanced off the side of my leg, and so then I find a stick and I take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I mean. I wasn't mad at the snake.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little spooked. I had a lot of adrenaline. It scared me because it could have been fucking serious,
Yeah.
But I wasn't mad at the snake. That's just how things were. It happened to be there. I happened to be there. I picked the wrong tree to park under. I mean, but there it was.
Mm-hmm.
Right, wrong, or otherwise, there it was. And I guess if you want to get time with your boys, I think you got to look at all of these things like that.
Right.
And you got to stop and go, what can I do differently that'll get me there?
Mm-hmm.
Not about whether you should have to do that. It's just that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you might find a path, and whether that's going to take a year or two, or another attorney working on the custody thing in a different way, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that answer is for you, but I think that really you're denying yourself the ability to be happy with how you viewed some of these things. And I think that if you maybe reset and you maybe decide to go a different way, that you can get there. Because I think that your desire for the things you say you want, I think it's legitimate. I don't think that that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that your feelings as you express them are not valid or not true. And so if we accept those as true, then the question that I ask myself, or that I often ask my clients to consider for them, how do I get there?
Mm-hmm.
Not what should anybody else do, or how do I get there? I want to get to that spot. And so I guess that's, as you think about this case, apply it to this case, and then think about whether that has application to your larger circumstance, because your larger circumstance is one you really need to solve one way or another. This one will either go forward or not, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a misdemeanor. At worst, you're going to do a little bit of jail time. It's going to cost you a few $100.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end of the world by any means. It's a bump. And so I'd like to see you not have a bigger bump than it is,
Right.
but ultimately that's what it is. If we keep it in perspective, and I don't say jail like it's light, but jail ain't going to kill you. If somebody gave you 30 days jail, you're going to come out the other end of that. You're not going to die. You're,
Mm-hmm.
you're a reasonably tough guy. You're going to cope with that just fine. It doesn't mean it's pleasant, but you're going to cope with it.
Right.
But I think on these bigger issues, you've got a lot of anger in there. And I'm an angry person and a strong personality, so I don't say that with criticism.
Mm-hmm.
I just say it as a fact. You've got a lot of anger and some rage in there, and you're not letting it out in a violent way. I'm not saying that you're doing that. You're not threatening anybody, and you're not doing any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're trying to do things, but that anger is coloring your actions, and your actions are contrary to your goals. They're not helping you get there. They feel like you're doing something,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not doing something that's effective. And so I think that if you put some of those things in perspective, because you're smart enough to understand, many of these legal issues and many of the circumstances, at least on the surface,
Mm-hmm.
but your feelings color your understanding of those issues.
Right.
And color your expectations. And I think that if you step back from that, I think you can find a path that lets you get the results you want. And that may not be immediate. I don't say it like that, but I think that you can find that result, and I think you'd be happier. I don't think you want your energies going into this anger, into these things. I think that you feel compelled that it's pulling you into that because your feelings are strong, but they're hurting you because they're not letting you solve the problem in a way that gets you back to happy. And I do think that you can do that. I think you're smart enough to understand the ways or tactics or strategy. It's not that you can't understand that, but I think your feelings interfere with that presently. And I think that if you step back from that and step back from what your feelings about your ex-wife and what that has done. And I don't say those like they're little things. And I don't want you to think that I make judgments about who's right or wrong and those kind of things, because those things are super complex, and because I've been through them too. And so I don't pretend to have any judgment on those things. I just am talking about from a perspective of what works for you and your health, not a judgment about her or the relationship or any of how any of that went. Just simply what's good for you.
Yeah.
Because that's a big part of what I had to do is and I still do it. I still do it today. Is what's good for me. What do I want, and then how do I get to that spot? And I can tell you, I'm not happy at my ex for every minute of 22 years that she treated me poorly and took from me and prevented me from doing things. I did the best I could by my kids during that time. But there was very little for me. But if I spend my days letting her be in my head now, then I'm just not having a good day today. And she's taken that one from me too. And I stopped quite a long time ago letting her do that very, very quickly during the divorce, of deciding, you know what, you're not taking any more fucking days from me. And her perspective and the people she told, quote, her version to would think it's the other way around.
Right.
But what do I care?
Yeah.
I didn't spend any time trying to convince all those people that surrounded us that thought she was so good because they didn't see the inner workings. I didn't spend time trying to convince them. If they didn't think highly enough of me to see my angle on their own, I didn't care, because they're not worth that to my day either. Because honestly, just the respect I'm paying you of recognizing that the situation might be a lot more complex than it looks like from the outside. If they knew me and they thought well of me, why didn't they do that for me?
Yeah.
You're a stranger to me. I'll do that for you. Why the fuck can't they do that for me? So is their opinion worth changing? And my answer is fuck no. I don't give a shit what their opinion is. I'm going to have a nice day today.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the things that I want to do. And so I just really think that if you pause and you put those things in that perspective and you think about where your true feelings are and where your value of yourself is, then you'll stop letting these people occupy your mind in the fashion that they do, because it's not hurting them, it's hurting you.
Right.
Yeah. And in part, Parker's overly sensitive. He's not really a tough guy. And so it bother him in a way. Yeah, they do, but they don't have the effect that the person might think otherwise either. It's occupying, it's taking more of your time and energy in life by far than it is his. Having any of the effects you might like it to have. It's not doing anything positive for you in any way.
Right.
And so I think that maybe, you let me know what your decision is on their offer. I'll get you the order, reset, and trial, and think about those things.
Okay. Definitely.
I think that if you maybe came at some things a little different way, and I know that with so much history that your ex is going to be very intransigent in her position. But maybe after a bit of time with things kind of changing, and then maybe you get a different attorney that can help you approach that again in a positive fashion.
Right.
That's kind of what I would suggest as a strategy.
Okay.
Because you do want it to change. You don't like how it is. You're not happy.
Right. Yeah.
That's
true.
I think that's absolutely true. I don't have any doubt of that. And I'm working, trying to find my happy spot too, and I just urge you to be the same, because we're both very strong personalities with a very that kind of steel backbone that and have that flashpoint anger that can burn long too, but intelligent enough to have the control of we don't shoot people, we don't beat the hell out of the weak, we don't do any of those things, but that doesn't change the fact those feelings are really strong. and so I can understand that because I'm like that. I can tell you that most people can't understand that. Most people aren't like that. And so it's scary to them. It's foreign. I've dealt with that all my life of when I had, especially females. They see me as aggressive, and I replay the conversation in my head. I'm like, fucking, I didn't say anything, but their perception that sort of rigid strength is threatening to weak people. You don't have to overtly be threatening. You can just be standing there, but they can sense that. And I learned that it took me a while of many misunderstandings when I would talk to somebody later of what they were thinking or perceiving and why there was a conflict. And I finally figured out the weaker someone is, it's just your strength. It's scary to them. It's like when you see somebody cower from a dog that hasn't done anything. They're scared of the dog because of its very nature, not anything it's done. And so you factor that into some of those interactions and put that layer over that other people don't understand you. And then some of those missteps make a little more sense. And I don't say that's responsible for everything, but I do think that there's some truth to that. I found truth to that in my own life, and I didn't particularly make any change because I wasn't fucking doing anything. But I understood more, and I understand more when people perceive me in a certain fashion. That there's that, and I just offer that as just perspective. When you feel like that you're not understood, well, maybe you aren't.
Well, I know I'm not. Yeah.
Most people aren't like that.
That's true.
And so, yeah, and they don't have the ability to understand, nor they want to. And you can think of it in any way you want as sheeps and wolves, and most people are sheep. And you can be mad at the sheep all you want. They're fucking sheep.
Yeah.
What do you be mad at them, or you want to recognize them as a herd animal and recognize their characteristics. I think. Are you an outdoors guy? Are you a hunter?
I'm outdoors, but I don't hunt.
Got some familiarity with animals?
Oh, big time. I lived up in the Bob at the beginning of this divorce for 3 months. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know what I'm saying? Accept the characteristic of the animal. Why are you hiding it? Don't be mad that the animal behaves like the animal that it is. Right. Each one is different. Right? Yep. And recognize that in people too. You'd be all fucking day being mad at the bear for acting like a bear and acting and mad at the deer for acting like a deer. What the fuck sense does that make? Right. You use your knowledge of how that animal behaves to do what you need to do in that animal's world. Right. And that's what society is too. That's what people are. Understand them as best you can, and then adjust your actions to reflect their characteristics. Right? That isn't about right, wrong, or fair and what they should do if they were a different fucking animal. They're not. Right. They're the animal they are. And so they're going to act the way they are. And if you look at it that way, it's not saying that what they did was right or wrong. It's saying that that's the nature of who and what they are, and that's how that animal will behave. Right. And if you look at it that way, you're trying to find your way in this world and get the things that you want to do. If you look at it that way, it's much easier. Yeah. Just figure out their characteristics. Right. And accept them as their characteristics. My ex is nasty as fuck. Nasty mean. I just accept that. It just is. I don't let it make me mad anymore. Yeah. It just is the truth. Yeah. I picked that. I didn't recognize it at the time. It wasn't the way it was. We were young. I didn't, she didn't, Dad wasn't around, and I helped sort of finish raising her. I taught her to be self-sufficient. I taught her to be independent on her own, and it's kind of, once eventually that happened, then she sort of treated me like her dad. I became the lightning rod of all negativity. I for a long time had lots of negative feelings about that. Now I look at just how mean she was, and I just recognize her as just as cold and mean as a snake. She's just a turncoat. And so, do I want to spend a bunch of time thinking about that? Fuck no.
Mm-mm.
I know who and what she is. I know how she will act in a given scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and I adjust my actions accordingly.
Right.
No anger to it, no anything. Just that's a rattlesnake on the trail that I got to watch out for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I would assert for you to view some of the big life pieces, because I think you can change the way you're interacting, and you may not see success quickly, but I think eventually you can get to where you want to. And it's a long life, and when we're talking about time with our kids, they're going to be, they get older, their lives change, there's so many stages of life, and you're going to want all that time when they're adults too.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let the panic of today dictate your actions. Take a longer view of how you're going to repair those things and make them the way you want to.
Yeah.
And don't ever question, why should I have to do X?
Mm-hmm.
You have to do X because as you look at your world and what you want, that's the direction you have to go to make it happen.
Right.
No other reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that you'll get to happier, because I don't think you're a stupid person. I represent many stupid people, just bone fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That's just the truth of it. They're stupid.
Yeah.
And they're mean. And
they
they're actual criminals. And they want to hurt other people.
Yeah.
I don't think that's you.
Nope. Far from
You're
it.
intelligent. I don't think you wish to. I think you want to live your way. I don't think you want to interfere with how anyone else lives their life. I don't think that's your thought.
Nope.
I think you just want to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
And since that's true for you, I just really think there's another path for you, and I think that's a good way to look at it, and just focus on what's important to you.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think things over, and you let me know what you decide, okay?
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Samuel. I appreciate all this.
All right. I take your situation seriously, and I know it's just a misdemeanor on the charge, but I give thought to your circumstances and want to help you any way that is within my appropriate role.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, you bet. Have a good day.
You too. You too. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.